It's the next day and the stone is dried, and you can, oh look at that sheen, what a lovely sheen. So I've polished these two up, and then the next job is to drill holes, and there are loads of holes. There's the inside. Some holes need to be drilled on the back, most on the front. Luckily though, as part of my previous planning, they produced this, which I'm absolutely thrilled that I produced, because this shows the position of all the holes on the front and all the diameters and sizes. So I'll lay this out. There's a datum point up there, so I can line that up with the top left, top right, left hand corner. Spread it all flat and then use the centre punch to mark them all out and then drill them. I'll do that for both of them. And more stuff has arrived. It's, oh, this is just so enjoyable. I know I've got it planned, I know it works, and just ordering all these lovely things, it's like Christmas every day. So here are the radio control clocks, and very luckily they use the same frequency in America, in North America, as they do in the UK. It basically means that there's an atomic, or several atomic clocks somewhere, and they broadcast a signal every few minutes that these can pick up, and then these actually adjust the time precisely, taking into account leap years and all sorts of other bits and pieces. Is that true? Daylight, I don't know. Anyway, they work really nicely, so two of them. And what can that possibly be? Well, it's the cuckoos. Cuckoo spares. They usually they have a weight in the top that pulls the bellows down. And I realised when I was trying to come up with a musical thing that I could add to steampunk machinery, that these are flutes, and they're very well made. They're all the same by the look of them. All the ones I've ever seen are. And if I slice this bottom bit off, which is a tube of a set diameter to control the pitch, so with a cuckoo, this one will be much shorter, probably only down to about there, and this one inside will probably go down to about there. If I saw this off and stick them on a tube and have a plunger that moves in and out, I can change the pitch, which is how the Barometric Prognosticator III plays its tunes. Then RS, I only ordered this yesterday afternoon and it arrived this morning. More green wire, which I always run out of. Here's the magic. This is where the magic happens. Proper Arduino Unos. I would recommend never getting one of the cheap rip-offs, because it harms and damages the organisation that set all this up, and also they're very, very unreliable apparently. You never know quite what you're getting, and I always get the proper authorised ones. So that's really exciting. The brains of the operation there. Obviously we don't talk about that though, because it's steampunk. I even treated myself to a new blade for my deburring tool, because I noticed it was getting a little bit worn, having deburred hundreds of pieces of copper pipe and stuff. That's very exciting too. Lovely. Well, I've just remembered to check that I've got this the right way up, because there's the bigger pieces of wood either side, the blocks to put the keyhole hangers on, and also the block in the middle for the 15mm light support. And I decided to cut the edges off. Why not? It just makes it so much easier. I can now just arrange it in the centre. I've uncreased it a little bit, flattened it out, so I'll get me thingy. Here's me thingy, my centre punch. It's one of the spring ones, so you push it down and it suddenly clicks and makes an impression. And today, dear friends, the drills of choice are high-speed steel twist drill for smaller holes. Ever so useful, the most common type of drill bit, going from, as you can see, 1mm up to 13. I did use the 13, although it does shudder around an awful lot. And for the larger holes, I'm going to use the fly cutter, which is great. As you can see how it works. Just adjust it like that, that centres it, and that spins round. It's a little bit dramatic to watch, but so far I haven't had any projectiles caused by using this. And I might even slow the pillar drill down a bit, you never know. And then there's obviously the flat drill bit, which is ever so useful. 22mm, they centre it up with this, they don't flop around or anything, and they do cut beautiful holes. And then for those special holes that have to be absolutely perfect, there is the Forstener Bit. I do love Forstener Bits. I mean, they're very expensive, which is why I don't have them for every size of hole. Only use them on wood, only these ones on wood anyway. They cut a beautiful hole with a completely flat bottom, and if you need a flat bottomed hole, these are what you require. I got these to drill out recesses for lovely laser engraved circular labels. They do a beautiful. Anyway, stop going on about it, it's a little bit odd. One top tip when you're using one of the flat drill bits is, right, we'll drill this side first. Go about halfway through, and then there you go. Look at that. Now that's great, because if I was drilling through from the front, this would all splinter at the back. Be horrible, but now look at that. Perfect cut, both the front and back. So I've drilled all of the smaller ones now. I've got these larger ones. So I've got a 48mm, 38, 42, 42, 42. So I'm going to use the fly cutter. So what you do, you spend ages trying to find a ruler, and then, so it's 48, so I want half of that, 24 bits a day. And then this is a annoying shiny ruler, so you set that to 24, tighten it, and then that will cut your hole, which I will now do. I thought I would slow it down actually, which is very easy to do with these pulleys, three-way pulley system. So simple. Look at the range of speed you can get. Why you'd want that many different ones, I don't know. Anyway. And then, as with the other one, I've got it sitting on some scrap wood underneath. I've got the right hill, so look at that! So satisfying. And you have the perfect hole, again with nice sharp edges, it's clean edges, so I'll get that done with the other one. It's all got a little bit pear-shaped. Well, it hasn't really, but I wish I'd read me instructions and drilled the holes first, because I've got to cut this huge one out now, and the only way I'm going to be able to do that, really, easiest, is with the jigsaw. If I use it on this side, it's quite likely to scratch the finish of the wood, so I'm turning this over and I'm going to try, this is going to get in the way, but I'm going to see what I can do. I've drilled the 8mm hole to get the jigsaw blade in. It's not going to win any prizes, but it's sort of round. It doesn't matter though, as I say, because all this will be hidden. It's just to gain access to the back of the clock for the works. And because the jigsaw blade, all the teeth point upwards, it means that you get a perfect cut on the far side. Lovely, that's what we want. Excellent, beautiful finish. It's all a little bit daunting, but thankfully with these notes and me just regularly looking at the one I've kept, the original one, and just working it out, what I've realised is, and thankfully I had these floating about, I need to drill them out to 15mm. These ones are the indicator that the power telling you it's on, and these are the backs of the control valves, which I didn't use an encoder for. It's a sort of encoder that I made out of a rotary switch that I took the stop out of, so it would go right round, I think. So I get them drilled out. This is a fun part of it. I don't know why, but I just felt like doing this next. It's actually, here's a better one. It's the 5 flickering lamps, LEDs, that tell you the weather forecast, and they go behind the clock face. So there's the 5 LEDs there, and when I was designing it, I suddenly realised it could, rather than having a proper PCB made up and things, I could cut it out of acrylic and engrave the instructions, and then, as you can see, feed things like resistors, components and wires and things and LEDs through and get the plastic to support them and the wires to connect them, and it's worked really well. The only bit that I've soldered onto a bit of Veriboard, breadboard copper strips, is a 16-pin socket for the integrated circuit. I'm just wiring that up now. I just rubbed some board marker here and then wiped it off so I could see the lines clearly. I'm not bothering with this one, but it's most enjoyable. And then that will sit spaced above that. I've cut out the other little spacing bits here, and then that turns them into the indicators into just discs of lovely flickering orange, which will have the lenses in front of them. Most enjoyable. And I'm even using one of the wire folding component guides from the NetNet Throtwell. How useful! Seven spaces for these resistors. Such a helpful little thing. Lovely, I'll get on with it. And there we have it. I've plugged the chip in. So handy, and I've glued the front and the back together with, as always, the fabulous V-blocks, saving the day. That means now that we've got 5 LEDs that shine from there, a nice little disc of light onto this front bit, and in front of this, within the clock, I'll have these lovely LED gauges, LED lenses mounted. Just make it look so nice, really sort of Victorian steampunk style. So that's great, got both of them done. I won't put the other wires on yet, but the great thing about these chips is that with the 2IC I2C connection, so that's 2 signal wires from the Arduino, which can jump from one lot of these to another, to another, to another. You can change their addresses with these 3 pins here, and it can also, at the same time, the I2C can also communicate with things like barometric pressure sensors and real-time clocks, all on the same 2 wires. It's amazing. Oh yes, and then you just have a positive plus 5 volts and 0 volts ground, and that's it. That's all the information and everything that's needed for this. And it in effect gives you, I think it's 8 general purpose in-out pins. So again, you can set them and have them in however sort of way you want. In effect, this allows the Arduino to have an extra 8 pins, digital in-outs. It's amazing, very clever, very useful. Right, this is quite interesting. Here's a rotary switch. Normally, as you've seen in other videos, they have a stop. In fact, here's one of them. And it's got a little bit that sticks out. You put that into one of these holes, and then it only allows the switch to turn that far and back. So it goes from 2 position to up to the 12. And then it stops. But this is what I'm going to use with the valve control on the Barometric 3. I want it to go round and round and round and round. So, because when I designed this, I didn't even know that you could get the little encoders, so I sort of made one of my own. And the software works, and if it ain't fixed, don't broke it, or broke, don't fix it, something or other. So I'm just going to do it the way that I did before. And now look, it goes round and round and round. How fabulous. And I'll show you what's in one of these, because obviously I'm making 2 of them. Might be of interest. You can get them apart by gently prising these 4 bits, or 2 of them one side, and then leaving it apart a little bit, and then the other 2 gently. Well, if you do that, make sure you hold the shaft pulled this way, because otherwise the springs and the balls will fly out. So inside, what you've got the back piece, which has got all the connections on, and varies depending on how many poles you've got and things like that. This is a 2-pole 6-way or 12-way, so you've got the 2 pieces. I don't think that's going to affect what I'm doing. I don't think so. Right, and then you've got the inside of this, and normally, well, there's a little blob there. Let me get something, a pointy device. There's a little blob there, and that's the stop. And on the other bit, this bit that goes round and round, it comes with its little equivalent blob there. So it'll only allow it to turn one way. But if you cut that off, trim it off with a scalpel or something, it'll then go round and round. Well, look, put that in there, it won't stop. So that's brilliant. And then it's the clicking, as you can see these indents here, the clicking is via 2 balls and a little spring. and to assemble and deassemble them, which are in the order, on one side of the switch there isn't, it's just plain. On the others there's this little rebate. Now if you lower this down, and believe you me, I've learnt this through trial and error, losing loads of springs and little balls that fly off into eternity. Hang on a minute, let's just put the camera on, and I can't pick up anything with a pair of pliers. Here we are. So here's one of the balls. Just going to drop that in there, pick up a load of fluff as well. Then you have a spring. There's the spring, and again drop that down, and they don't fall out their other side because there's not one of these little indents. And then finally, can he do it? He can. The second ball. There we are. Drop that in there, and then if you push it in a little bit, as I say, switch the camera on, everything goes wrong. I'll try that to push it in a bit. Oh, come on, this is silly. Oh, just did the other one absolutely perfectly. Right, several minutes later, scrubbing around on the carpet of invisibility, I've clicked it back together. And now, this is what we want. So we've got a really nice positive thing that will be glued onto the end of that with a reinforced linkage. So as you turn this, it gives you the really nice clicking, and the way that we get the Arduino to read that is, here it is, it's to have exactly, no, it's not like the encoder, it's like something else that I can't remember. You have plus 5 volts to one pin, pin 3, 0 volts to pin 1, and pin 2 connected halfway between the two with two 1k resistors, which means that'll be at 2.5 volts. And then I wrote the code, this will feed one of the analog inputs. I wrote the code, so it's basically, and that should be with a white background. I made a mistake and changed it and cut it out. There we are, slightly better. So as you turn it round, it goes high, medium, low, high, medium, low, or low, medium, high, low, medium, high. And then the function will decode that and tell you how many clicks you've moved and in which direction. Thank you very much. So it is in effect a sort of analog encoder, but it works very, very well. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you are going to use one of these, there's a little brass ring in under this bit that tightens down on a plastic sort of rubbery type flange, and that's what seals this bit against water coming in and out. So if you take the little brass bit off, but you can leave the plastic bit in, it means it spins. Otherwise it's really stiff and it would easily lose the effect of this. But take that off. Oh, and they're also covered in this hideous silicone grease, so before you ever think about using one of these, get some white spirit or something or other and clean the whole lot, because they're caked in it. I assume they just spray it on to lubricate it all over everything. But yes, you touch them and you feel the greasiness on your hands, so it's well worth doing that before you do anything else. Right, dog walkers are back. I better go and open the door. I couldn't get my head around this, whether this would work, because on the original drawing it shows a 4-pole 3-way or something. So I just wired it up with 3 LEDs, and sure enough, that's perfect. Most exciting. All the 3mm bits cut out, and I thought, because this cuts right to the absolute maximum edge to get the nice large surround on the clock face cut out, it needed more than I normally get. Normally I get acrylic that's 300mm high, and this needs to be 310 or 320. And I'm arming and ahhing about whether I could redesign it. I just wasn't happy with that, and in the end I discovered I'd got 2 pieces that I'd bought just for this purpose. How thrilling! So that's one cut out. I'll pick up all the bits. There's the bit I'm talking about. That's the bit that goes around the clock, whichever way up it is, it's that way up. And it really needed that, well, that height. Anyway, get them sorted out and cut the second lot out. Never a dull moment. Whilst I'm waiting for them to cut out, I'm packing up all the horns, which I have got plenty to pack up. But them as well, as someone for the first time, has ordered 2 horns and 2 pumps and the bracket, these brackets, so that he can, because he's a magician I think, and he makes magical equipment, and he wants to use the horn designs, working air horns, so I'm supplying him with a couple of those. That's exciting. Perhaps I'll start offering them. If anyone else is interested in getting these different bits and pieces that I use, do let me know in the comments. Thanks very much. Oh, that's a classic trick. Brown plastic packing tape. I'm going to glue this, which is a plumbing fitting, and which is going to hold the motor that opens and closes the cuckoo bellows, to focus to the cut out base 3mm acrylic. There's a hole cut in it, so I've put a load of super glue around it, run it round, sat it on the brown tape, put that in, lined it up because those go pointing towards the centre of the circle, and then I'll leave it to set, and then hopefully we can prise this up and it won't have stuck itself to the table. Motors, you say? Whirring, you say? Clicking horribly from this one, you say? Or here? Well, I thought I was very lucky because I need a motor for the bell and a motor for the cuckoo, and they are not stepper motors, they are just whatever, I can't even what you call them, permanent magnet motors or something. Anyway, they go round and round, which is what I want, and I was so thrilled to find that I had 4 of them in stock left over. So I've wired them up as always with a diode the wrong way round, so that all the nasty back EMF just gets carried away, isn't allowed to destroy anything. Wired up these 3, fine. This one though really does make a nasty noise, so luckily I've consulted the spreadsheet of parts for the Barometric Prognosticator III. It's annoying because it works, and it's I'm just not happy with it. That doesn't bode well for the future, even though it's brand new. So I found one on Amazon that will arrive tomorrow, which is good, just for peace of mind. I just want it to be right, obviously. So I'm leaving them running because I did discover that it does them good just to run and get settled in a little bit before they start their enviable life of ringing bells and fluting, blowing flutes or whatever. Right, I'm on a roll. I was hoping to end this video by getting that bit painted up, was the bit that's stuck on, and screwed onto that because it's just gorgeous and it's a huge milestone. But I've realised how many other things there are to do during the meanwhile still that I can be doing. It's all gone a little bit crazy. Thing is, when you've got a workshop and you've got a laser cutter and you've got the bits you need, it's very, very difficult to stop. So I thought I'd get on and have a look at making the Pir Sensor Holder thing. So I've got cut these 2 plumbing fittings down. There's the bits that I cut out earlier, that's going to sit on there, and then there's some nice little twiddly decorative bits that go on the outside, and I remembered I was going to make them from engraving laminate because that's thin and it needed to be thin, and one of them needs to be pink, and I remembered I had this film that I used before. Most importantly, focus, I remembered that because it's quite a fiddly shape, if I stick this onto the laminate first, then the laser cutter does the cutting for me rather than me having to do it afterwards with a scalpel. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, and to cut a long story short, what I was trying to say was, I don't think I'm going to have time. This video, I suspect, by the time I drop all the clips or the raw footage onto the timeline, it's going to probably be about 5 hours long. Possibly not that long, but quite long. As I try and keep them to a maximum of about 20 minutes, I think I'm going to call it a day there as far as videoing is concerned for this video. Watch this space for the next lot where things will become brass and screws will appear, which is really exciting. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to click subscribe and like if you like it. I hope it's been of interest to you, and I look forward to seeing you next time.